Hey there, multi-prep teachers. You know how professional development never seems to quite get to what we need? It's like, great idea, but how do I make this work when I have 3+ preps to juggle? That's exactly why I created the Simplify Your Preps Collective. It's a free Facebook group built just for teachers like you, where we share tips, resources, and real talk about making multi-prep teaching less overwhelming and more doable. Sound like your kind of space? Head to kristenmasick.com/collective and join us today. Let's simplify together. How many times have you spent hours planning the perfect lesson for one class, only to feel frustrated knowing you have 3 or more preps to go? It's easy to feel stuck reinventing the wheel, but repurposing can change the game. I remember when I was teaching 3 very different subjects. They had very different classrooms. I was also switching classrooms, and one needed a lab space, which we were actually using a kitchen, but that is a story for another day. I kept running out of time to figure out what I was going to be teaching from day to day. Unfortunately, whatever preps hadn't been prepped or planned yet typically got something that I just Googled for and found really quickly and easily. And odds are it was below grade level because it was the first thing that I could find. It wasn't until I started adopting one lesson or one successful lesson and applied it to multiple classes that I really started saving time, but still continuing to keep that rigor high. Not only did it save me hours, but my students were more engaged because I had time to refine the lesson instead of scrambling for new ideas. Today, I'm sharing 5 simple ways to repurpose lessons for efficiency and impact. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. The first way to repurpose lessons are going to be a part of your lesson, which are teaching protocols and strategies. Think gallery walk, jigsaw, anything like that is a way of teaching or having students interact or discuss. What I had done is I really liked using the gallery walk, and what we would do is my engineering students, we would use it a lot to brainstorm or at least communicate their sketches with one another. And so they would create the posters and then they'd hang them on the walls. And I got really good at doing that. And then I started realizing that I could do that same thing with my architectural design students, because if it was architectural 1, we were doing a lot of learning about different types of roofing styles. And so there could be architectural styles, there could be different codes, different things that these groups were becoming experts on and that they could show and do with a gallery walk. The basic premise of the protocol and strategy was the same, but there was a different focus. Now, pro tip, when it comes to this teaching protocol strategy, repurposing it, you can also stack them. You are doing that same teaching protocol, especially if they are ones that require you to rearrange furniture or have different supplies out on desks or in groups. That will also simplify your time, but you don't have to have them all line up on the same day in order to be repurposing. The next is using games as engagement tools. I am a big fan of games. I love using games or toys or anything in my classes, being able to pull out the bins of Legos or the bins of blocks and using them. I would only need to get them out for that day, but I would be having one class maybe create some shapes that they're going to be drawing the different views on, and then I have another that is looking at a manufacturing process and how to make it more streamlined, but they're still using those same manipulatives. The other thing is review games. I like to play Taboo, the game where you have the main vocabulary word and then 5 or 6 words that they cannot use to describe that word. If you have a template that goes along with that, now this can be that you've got cards, it could be that you have a slide, and it doesn't even have to be Taboo. It doesn't have to have all of the other terms listed below. But you could play that same game where you have to have a group of students or a student explaining the definition to the other student, and they have to guess without being able to see the word. Once you have that basic idea put together, then you can just simply switch out the different words and definitions, and you can actually use AI as your teaching assistant to make that go even faster. The third one is assessment frameworks. We are thinking about rubrics and choice boards. What I started doing was using those same rubrics. Now you can create your own from scratch. You can use AI as your teaching assistant, but having just a basic rubric, and it could be that you are having a rubric that will always measure problem solving, documentation, and presentation skills. And students already know that these are the things that you are going to be assessing them on. Now, with that as well, you can look at choice boards. So you can also have students choose how they would like to demonstrate their learning. It could be a poster, slide deck, video, written response, and you can always have those choices ready, and that is just what they get to choose from every single time. Now you can decide on whether or not they can do the same type of media every time, or if they need to switch it up. That's totally up to you, but it allows you and your students to already have it planned. You know, they know, and then you can also, if you aren't using a rubric for all of your projects, you can have specific rubrics for each type of submission that they submit. Those are a couple of different ways, but you can easily use something like that across all of your preps. Next is having a universal note-taking strategy. Now, it could be that your students are using something like the Cornell method and Cornell notes, and you are teaching them. It really does simplify things for the students as they can develop consistency in processing information. It also makes it really easy for you anytime you want to print out a graphic organizer. You don't need to sift through the book that has 5,000 different graphic organizers. You just find one that works well and you use it and reuse it over and over, no matter what you are discussing. And for the last one, we are going to be talking about exit tickets and reflection prompts. Exit tickets are quick, adaptable, and they can help you gather insights across your different class periods without having to do any extra grading. Use a single reflection prompt across all of your classes. You can even have it be the same question that they are always answering as they leave, like what challenged you today, what was your success, and you could have a review question. You could keep the format the same, or you could have it tweaked slightly for each different subject. So for example, if you're in welding class, you could ask, what was the most important safety step you practiced today? In engineering, what part of the engineering design process did you struggle with the most today? Or in robotics, what adjustment did you make today that improved your design? The basic structure stays the same, but the content can shift to match each class. But if you'll notice, those questions could be ones that I repeat every single day in those classes, or you can switch it up so that you have a little bit more variety. So the reason why we do repurposing is that it saves you time and mental energy. That is the biggest thing, is your mental load will be decreased. It creates consistency for students across different subjects, and it frees you up to refine lessons instead of constantly creating from scratch. Repurposing isn't cutting corners, it's working smarter and prioritizing what truly matters. So here's what you're going to do today. Pick one strategy to try out immediately. It could be that you are finding something that you or your students already love and see how it could be adapted for another prep. Maybe it's a game, a rubric, a note-taking template, or a protocol or strategy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to layer the strategies over the next month. The first week, you're going to try a teaching protocol, try repurposing that. Second week, adapt a favorite activity. Third, implement a common rubric. And fourth, review what worked and refine your system. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love for you to come and join us over in the Simplify Your Preps Collective Facebook group. It is full of like-minded multi-prep teachers who are wanting to save time and really help each other out. Remember, teaching multiple preps doesn't have to leave you exhausted. By repurposing lessons, you're reclaiming your time and simplifying your workload. Until next week.